You're watching The 7 from WATE 6 on your side.
Good evening, I'm Bo Williams, and welcome to The 7. Before we get to the top 7, we are keeping an eye on some breaking news from the last hour for you. The TBI has been called to a report of what's being described as an officer-involved shooting. Now, the TBI tweeted that the shooting happened in Dandridge in the 1700 block of David Swan Drive. Now, right now, that's all the information we have. We do have a crew headed in that direction. We're going to push out more information through our app and on air as soon as it becomes available. Now let's get a look at the Big 7 stories for you right now. Topping the list, Emerald Academy students here in Knoxville are heading back to class tomorrow. That's after 2 days of virtual learning prompted by high absence numbers due to sickness. Now the school had to get a virtual learning waiver approved by the state education commissioner. School's interim director says it's not just COVID they've been dealing with. She spoke about what some of the conversations leading up to today's decision look like.
We have staff out with the flu, we have staff out with a stomach bug, we have staff out with strep throat. So what those conversations have sounded like is just making sure we're following our protocol with COVID, making sure that their symptoms are improving and that they're fever-free for 24 hours before they can return, and that they are healthy and well enough to return.
Again, Emerald Academy officials posted their decision on social media this afternoon that they will be back to in-person learning starting tomorrow. And we should note, masking up is recommended but not mandated. Now let's get a look at the latest numbers from UT Medical Center. They are reporting 164 COVID-19 hospitalizations. You see the number there on your screen. And if you take a look at the 30-day trend chart, you'll be able to see a continuing upward trend. However, if you look at the orange part of that bar graph, so along the bottom there, you can see the number of COVID patients in the ICU remains relatively unchanged. And it's a similar story for Covenant Health's hospital system. Hospitalizations are up, and the number of COVID patients in the ICU are around the same number as yesterday. Covenant also shows 73% of its COVID patients in the ICU are unvaccinated. Next here in the Big 7, an update to a story we first brought you over the weekend. A fire has now turned into a homicide investigation. A Detroit man's death has been ruled a homicide after his body was found inside a burning home in East Knoxville on Friday night. 46-year-old Donald DeShazo's body was found at a home along Wilson Avenue. The cause of the fire still not known tonight. Knoxville police are asking anyone who knows anything about DeShazo's death to please leave a tip with the East Tennessee Valley Crime Stoppers. And to leave that tip, just call 865-215-7165. Remember, tipsters will remain anonymous and could be eligible for a cash reward. Our next big story takes us to the House, where a Tennessee bill that would allow some people convicted of first-degree murder to be granted early parole has now been withdrawn. Right now, state law defines a life sentence at 60 years, with parole becoming eligible after 51. However, the proposal would have made parole a possibility after 25 years. Knox County District Attorney General Sharm Allen expressed concerns with the bill, as did mothers and fathers of crime victims. But we should note the Senate version of the bill has not yet been withdrawn. Tennessee's lone Democratic House member announced today he will not seek re-election, in part because of, well, the new map. As we've told you, state lawmakers split his Nashville district into 3 pieces. The now redrawn maps passed last night in the State House after clearing the State Senate last week. Jim Copper posted a statement to his Twitter page today saying he is ending his campaign for the seat that he has held for 32 years. He said there's no way forward for his campaign, with the governor likely signing the new map into law.
I tried to stop the redistricting as much as I possibly could. They could have easily kept Nashville whole, as we've been for the last 230 years. But the folks decided to chop up Nashville's political power and really to give it to Clarksville, Cookeville, and Columbia. And I've got no objection to those towns. They're fine, but they are not the state capital. And the state capital will be losing its voice for a long time, because Nashvillians will go from being a priority to being an afterthought.
Democrats in the legislature argue that the redistricting move dilutes the voting power of black Tennesseans. Republicans in control of the process reject the argument and say the changes give Nashville more of a say in Congress. Well, next on the Big 7, we are learning more after 2 teens were reportedly held at gunpoint and bound with rope during a burglary at a home in Blount County. The 14 and 15-year-olds were reportedly tied up and left in a bathroom while the burglars stole thousands of dollars in electronics and other items from the home. One of the teens was eventually able, though, to free his hands from the restraints. He told investigators he waited around 1 hour before exiting the bathroom and then running to the neighbor's house for help. 35-year-old Michael Morrell Jr. arrested and charged with theft as well as breaking and entering. Deputies were told Morrell had lived at the residence for a short time until November 2021 when he was caught stealing from the home. The teens say they recognize Morrell from his voice, body stature, and clothing. All right, next on our list, a 30-year-old woman has now been indicted by a grand jury in a crash that killed a 27-year-old man last May. Paige Phillips is facing one count of vehicular homicide after the death of Ezekiel Reeves. Now, the crash along Bruin Road in North Knoxville also left Phillips with life-threatening injuries. According to statements, witnesses say they saw Phillips' car heading north when it hit Reeves' car, which was heading in the other direction. Phillips is facing unrelated charges, including DUI and casual exchange, stemming from a failed sobriety test last February. She is due in court on those charges next month. And rounding out the Big 7 for us, Hardin Valley residents worried someone will lose their life driving near a certain intersection in their area. Now, we're talking about Yarnell Road at Campbell Station. Just within the past few months, residents say there have been several crashes there, drivers smashing into yards and fences. We spoke with residents about their concerns and, well, what needs to change.
You hear the dump trucks coming on Yarnell trying to make that stop because that stop sign, it come over a hill and then boom, there's a stop sign and you have to try to stop.
2 crashes in 6 weeks, both landed right in Heather Meckelberg's yard. To her, she says that shows 2 things. 1, drivers are going faster than the posted 30 or 40 miles per hour speed limit. And 2, people don't see the intersection coming up due to the blind spots. Now, to prevent this, she recommends flashers and a 4-way stop to slow cars down.
Hear that sound of an accident, which I recognize now. My kids recognize that now. They'll ask us if they need to grab the medical kit before we run outside to help.
We reached out to the Knox County Public Works Department. They say that area is listed in the 20-year improvement plan. They are looking to build a roundabout, but funding, though, has not been secured just yet.